Great. So what we're going to start off with is neutral spine and warming up. So, you know, it gets serious when the hair gets tied back. Hair's getting tied back. So neutral spine, if you've done Pilates before, you're probably familiar with this. I'm going to kind of show you what the different spine positions are right now, and I'm going to do this the best I can. So if you look at my spine here, people have a natural curve. It's called an S curve. It makes like an S shape, right? So right now, this is extension, right? So I am forcing like a bigger S curve, and some people naturally have this. And then this is called flexion, where I'm like scooping my tailbone under. You can also think of your lowest rib and your frontal hip point coming closer together, or if I don't like this analogy, but it really works. If someone punches you in the gut, you kind of get a rounded back, right? So this is extension, this is flexion. Let me just check the chat box, make sure. Okay, cool. Didn't want to miss out on anything. So extension, flexion. So somewhere in between these two places is neutral. Neutral is you still have these curves going on. You still have this S curve in your spine, but it's not so hyperextended where you feel impingement here, and it's not so tucked under where this is flat. So we're going to kind of go over finding that first, because that's really important when it comes to core stability, is being able to find your neutral. And if you don't find it today, don't worry about it. Sometimes it takes people a while to figure that out, especially if you have any kind of like spinal fusion, if you have a lot of pain in your back. Side note on pain, if it hurts, any of these exercises, don't do it, okay? That's your body's way of telling you no good, something bad's gonna happen. Pain is important, you need to honor your pain. So with that said, let's do a little bit of a core warm up and kind of find our neutral. So the first thing I'm gonna have us do is cat-cows. If you've done yoga before, even Pilates, I'm sure you are familiar with cat-cows. So what you're gonna do, and I hope you can still hear me. If you can't hear me, say something in the comments, because I'm gonna back up a lot so you can see me, my whole body. And this is my cat Zelda, by the way. If I keep her outside, she's going to scratch on the door. So she's going to join me for the time being until she gets to a point. So you're going to line up. Your shoulders are going to stack over your wrists, and your knees are going to be stacked under your hips. So you're going to go into an extension, lifting the tailbone, lifting your chest, maybe looking up, and you're going to breathe in. And then you're going to exhale and round your spine. Push your hands into the floor, and you want to feel like your upper back is doming up towards the ceiling. So let's move with our breath. You're going to inhale, look up, lift the tailbone. Exhale and round, push the floor away, maybe look in between your knees. Hello, Zelda. Inhale, look up. Exhale and round. And just keep doing that at the pace of your own breath. Inhaling up, exhaling down. And notice too, if there's any point of stiffness or pain, maybe spend a couple breaths there and just allow your body to sit in there until it feels like it's kind of moved out. Maybe do a couple more. Moving through flexion and extension. Great. So then now we're going to do something I call wag the tail, and I'm going to show you, I don't know the best way to show you this. You're going to still be in the same position here. You're going to look at your bum on your left side. Maybe imagine taking your nose to your hip and pulling your hip to the side, and then inhale, come back to center. Then go to the other side. Inhale, look the other way. And to the other side. So this is working out and warming up your lateral flexion when you go side to side. Just keep doing that a couple more times. So important to warm up your spine before you do crunches, especially early in the morning. This is typical time for people to hurt their back and your neck. I myself have hurt my neck 2 times in the morning, so be gentle with yourself. All right, so moving into just a little child's pose to stretch out the lower back, stretch your arms forward, reach your hips back. You can let your head go all the way down. Take a couple of deeper, fuller breaths in your child's pose. Reach your tailbone towards your heel. Stretch your arms forward. And then we'll come all the way up. So now we're going to do a little bit more of maybe a deeper extension, but also still part of the warm-up. So here comes the yoga block into play. If you have a yoga block, that's great. If you don't, you can grab a pillow. Works the same way. So you're going to place this yoga block. I'm going to move my mat a little bit more forward. I feel like I'm yelling to the camera. So you're gonna place this yoga block or pillow underneath your tailbone, like so. So you wanna make sure that your pillow or your yoga block isn't so far up your spine that it feels like your butt or your tailbone's hanging off, because this is no good right here. You wanna place it underneath your tailbone, yeah? So once you have it there, just take your hands down at your side. You're gonna draw your right knee in. If you want, you can hold onto your right leg, and you're gonna extend your left leg down onto the floor. So again, really important place to notice if there's any pain, if there's any impingement. If there is, maybe take the block out from underneath you or the pillow out from underneath you and just do this on the floor. What we're stretching right now is called your psoas, or also your hip flexor. And this muscle loves to take over core exercises and loves to be the person that, or the muscle that does all the work. So we don't want it to do the work, because when this does the work, then your core doesn't really do any of the work. Okay, this one likes to take over. So we're telling it to chill out when we do this stretch. So we're just gonna switch legs. Again, you can do this on the floor. You don't need a block or a pillow. You can always just do this on the floor. But it's so important to release this psoas and this hip flexor before you do any type of core exercises. Take a couple of breaths here, pulling the knee in. And then we're just gonna let that come down. We'll lift the hips up off the block or the pillow, remove the block, slowly roll down through your spine. So going through that flexion, that spinal flexion, that tucking under, rolling through the back. And then we're gonna do a couple of Pilates bridges. So different from yoga bridges where we come up and we hold and we interlace, we're gonna roll. So you're gonna roll the spine up, Zelda, move it out of the way. You're gonna roll the spine up, one bone at a time. And then we're gonna roll down one bone at a time. So you wanna think of the tailbone coming up first, all the way up to maybe your upper back, your almost maybe to your shoulders, depending on your mobility, and you're gonna roll back down. So as you do this, really make sure your knees and your toes are pointing straight ahead. There's gonna be a tendency for them to wanna come out to the side. Try to squeeze them together. If you have your yoga blocks, sometimes it's nice to hold the block in between your knees and just keep rolling up and down. If you wanna do this with breath, you're gonna inhale as you come up, and you're gonna exhale as you come down. So keeping going, inhale as you roll up, exhaling as you roll down, one bone at a time, two more, inhaling as you come up, exhaling as you come down, last one, and exhale back down. So we're gonna remove the block if you have it there, hug both knees into the chest, maybe rock side to side a couple times. And then if you want, you can do a double leg twist or a single leg twist. Double leg twist, both knees come off to the side. Single leg twist, one leg comes straight out, one knee comes across. You can even take your gaze in the opposite direction if you want, so looking off to your right hand or your left hand, depending on what leg you're doing. Take a couple of breaths there, just allowing your body to kind of melt down into the floor, releasing the spine. And we'll switch sides. We're gonna do this twist again at the end of class. Spinal twists are probably one of the best stretches you can do if you have any kind of back pain. Of course, if you have some kind of spine fusion, I wouldn't recommend doing really deep twists or any twists at all, depending on where your fusion is. So many different variations of injuries that I could go through, but unfortunately I don't have the time in a 50-minute class. So really just listen to your body, trust your body. If your body's in pain, please honor that. So we're gonna hug the knees in, roll it on up. And we're gonna start off with activating the spine. So now that we're all warmed up, you've kind of got the kinks out from the night, hopefully you feel a little bit warmer in your back. We're gonna grab either a block or a ball or nothing if you have neither of them. So we're gonna activate the core. This is super, super important. If you've ever done like a plank and you're like, all I feel are my arms and my wrists, I don't feel my core, it might be that you didn't activate your core to start working yet. So for me, I know I love doing the activation first before I do planks, because then I don't feel it in my wrists or my shoulders so much. So that's why we're doing this first. So either grab block, a ball. So here's my exercise ball. Okay, so what we're gonna do, so I'm gonna grab both my yoga blocks. We're gonna find neutral. We're gonna find neutral on our back. So I'm hoping you can see this. My cat loves to like participate. So she's gonna go up here. I might put her outside if this gets too she gets in the way of seeing my back. So we're gonna go through that flexion and extension again on our back. And I hope you can see me. So I'm gonna do extension first. So you can see my chest is puffing up. I have this big space underneath my back. I can fit my hands under. And then I'm gonna go into flexion. So I'm gonna scoop my tailbone under, kind of like what I just did for my bridge, but my back is not going to leave the floor. So I'm gonna inhale, arch, exhale, and tuck. Inhale, arch, exhale, tuck. So we're gonna keep going with that, but we're gonna start activating our core here. Think of your rib cage, think of your lowest rib, and then think of your frontal hip point. So you can kind of see my hands, it's like this. You're gonna take your thumb on your lowest rib, your fingertips on your frontal hip point, and when you tuck under, I want you to think of drawing these 2 points together. Hold it there. So you're holding in a spinal flexion. Check out your glutes. Are your glutes squeezing? If they are, see if you can release them. Don't let them be part of this. Think of it's only my core that's bringing my hip points and my lowest ribs closer together. Inhale, go into an arch again. So you're gonna lift your lower back up, that big space, spinal extension, and then spinal flexion. You're gonna pull the lowest rib and the frontal hip point together. Again, no glutes are working, just the core. Inhale, arch. Exhale, pull those 2 points together. So this is an excellent place if you are coming off from some kind of surgery in your abdominal area or having a child. This is a wonderful place to start activating your core again. So that's one way to activate your core, is drawing these 2 places together. Another way we're going to activate our core is called dead bug. So I like doing this with blocks. You can do this with pillows too, or one pillow. You're going to place the blocks and the pillow in between your hands and your knees. And then you're gonna take one leg in a tabletop first. So I go very slowly. I've been working with a lot of older clients, so one step at a time. If this feels okay, after you've done this once, then you can try both legs. But before you move into both legs, check this out first. You're gonna push your hand actively into the block, and you're gonna push your knee actively into the block without your shoulder hiking up. Hold the shoulder down. So press into the block, hold it there. Keep thinking of that lowest rib and that frontal hip point coming closer together as you press the hand and the knee into the block. You want to keep thinking that, but you don't want to force a flexion in your spine. You don't want to tuck your tailbone under. You want to keep a little bit of space underneath your lower back. You want to maintain that neutral spine, not an arch, not a tuck, somewhere in between that feels normal and in between for you. So if this feels okay, taking both legs up, and we're just gonna push the hands into the blocks and the knees into the blocks. If you don't have a block or a pillow, you can take just your hands into your knees and your knees into your hands. So you're gonna actively hold this static pressure of hands pushing down into the knees and knees pushing into the hands. So this is a wonderful way to activate your core, to say, all right, we're working now. We're gonna hold it for like 10 more seconds. See if you can breathe as normally as possible. Probably a little bit of more shallow breath, that's fine. Take one more breath in and exhale, let that go. Let's do a little, I call these windshield wiper legs. You're gonna just drop both legs off to the side, off to the other side, just release that. So we're gonna do that one more time to activate our core. If that didn't feel good with both legs up, go back to one leg or go back to the drawing the lowest rib and the frontal hip point close together and just hold, or go back and forth, hold and release. So one more time to activate your core. Here comes the ball. So if you have an exercise ball and you want to try it with this, you can do this as well. You're going to take your knees into dead bug, also tabletop pose. You're going to take your hands on the ball and you're going to place your hands on the ball, knees on the ball. And just like with the blocks, you're going to press them together. You also want to have this idea that your armpit is sliding down towards your hips. So that keeps your shoulders away from your ears. It keeps your neck long. Make sure that you still have that little tiny space underneath your back, almost small enough to fit like an acorn or a chocolate kiss, something like that size, underneath your lower back. You don't want to be jamming your lower back into the floor. Hold for a couple more breaths. Shoulders slide away from the ears. Knees stack over the hips. Hands stack over the shoulders. One more breath in. Exhale, let that go. Let's put the ball off to the side. And again, windshield wiper the legs back and forth. You can do a twist if you want. You can hug the knees into the chest and make circles. So the core should be activated. Again, if there was pain, really honor that and just kind of check in if if you need to do anything else to kind of relieve that. So now we're gonna go into our 3 rounds. I know that was just the warm up. We don't have that much time left. So we might just do 2 rounds of each thing. So first thing we're gonna do is more static. So we're gonna start off with planks, and I'm gonna kind of go over a progression of a plank. We're not gonna do a gazillion planks in this class, but there's going to be a lot of planks. So with that said, if your wrists normally hurt during doing planks, there's options. You can do your planks on your forearms. You can also do planks on your fists like this. So this is a way that a lot of my clients that have wrist issues like to do planks. And you can also do them on your forearms. Yeah. If you have blocks, sometimes it's nice to have blocks like this and hold them this way as well. Sometimes that keeps your wrist in a more neutral position. There's so many options, right? So we're gonna start off with a quadruped position, opposite arm, opposite leg reach. We're gonna do this for 1 minute. And then the next round through, we're gonna make this a little bit more physically demanding. I'm getting to my, don't worry, I'm looking at my phone because I'm getting to my timer. We're gonna do this for 1 minute. So quadruped, kind of like how we started off with cat-cow, shoulder stack over wrists, knees underneath hips. You wanna make sure that you're actively pushing the floor away with your hands and patting your knees, tops of the feet kind of pressing down evenly into the mat. You're gonna reach one leg back, opposite arm reaches forward. Yeah, so this is opposite arm, opposite leg reach. Hold this here a couple seconds, and then we'll switch sides. Maybe take a breath in as you stretch away, exhale, release down. Again, you can always do this on your fists if this bothers your wrist. So here we go, I'm gonna put the timer on. We got 1 minute. Reach, set it down. Reach, set it down. So as you keep going back and forth, you don't have to go as fast as I do. You can go slower, go with your breath. But what I want you to think of when you're doing this is still thinking of that connection of your lowest rib and your frontal hip point, right? Connecting towards each other. You want to think 3-dimensionally of your core. Think of the full circumference of your core hugging in towards each other. I hate giving the analogy of like using a corset because I honestly have never worn a corset, maybe once in a show, but if you know what a corset feels like, get that sensation of pulling in, of hugging in. That's gonna support your entire midsection, not just your front, but your back as well. You've got 10 seconds left. Reach away, set it down. Reach away, set it down. 5 seconds, keep breathing. Again, if there's pain, stop, do a child's pose, do something to help relieve yourself. All right, setting it down. So next exercise we're going to do, we're going back to dead bug, but we're gonna add a little bit of variation onto that. So coming onto your back again. So before we either just had the hands on the knees, the ball, or the blocks. Right now we're gonna have our hands down at our side, and we're gonna do something called femur arch. So this is really a Pilates exercise. It's a challenge for your neutral spine. So find that neutral here first. You wanna think of a small space underneath your lower back. Your ribs don't wanna be puffed up. They don't wanna be sinking down. They wanna be somewhere in between. And you wanna have a flat pelvic girdle, yeah? So here we go, we're gonna take a breath in. Exhale, lower one heel towards the floor, if not all the way down. If you can't touch the floor without losing your neutral and your spine arches, you wanna stop a little bit before. So we're just gonna alternate legs, maintaining that neutral. And we're gonna do this for 1 minute. And my timer's already started, there we go. Breath is exhale down, inhale up. Exhale down, inhale up. So you can notice that I'm keeping the shape of my leg. It's not extending like this as I go out. Yeah, that's a whole nother exercise. That is a little bit more physically demanding. So if you want to do that, you can, no biggie. But we're gonna start kind of step by step with this. Exhaling down, inhaling up. Maintaining that neutral spine. So notice if your chest or your ribs start to lift as that leg lowers down and your back starts to lift away from the floor. You want to keep that neutral spine as you do this. Yeah, lowest rib, frontal hip point come closer together. You've got 10 seconds. 1 minute is long. I like a minute. It's just easier than like 45 seconds or something. Okay, and we're gonna stop. So let's do windshield wiper legs, kind of let that go. Sometimes it's nice to do a bridge and kind of lift up if you want to do more of a yoga bridge and stretch that out. Come back down. So one more static exercise for 1 minute. We're gonna go lateral. So we did our front, we did our prone, we did our supine exercise. Now we're gonna go lateral. So side planks. Most people hate them. They are very difficult, I think, personally. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of shoulder strength, shoulder stability that goes along with side planks. So we're gonna start simple, get more difficult. So we're gonna start on our forearm. I think that's a little easier than the wrist. It's a lot of load to bear for the wrist when you do this. So you're gonna be in your forearm. You're gonna stack your knees up. Yeah, so you can see, if you take a glance down to your knees, you want your knees right in line with your hips. You don't want your hips way far back. You don't want them forward, so neutral spine on your side. Hand can be here, it can be here, it can be here, it can be here, wherever it feels good. This is gonna help you get up, so if you want help, push yourself up. And we're gonna hold this for 1 minute. If you wanna take a break, you're more than welcome to. Set your hips down, come back up. What you wanna watch out for is the shoulder doing all the work. So something that is a trick that was only taught to me during my yoga certification was if you push away from the floor, it helps to stabilize the shoulder. So then the work isn't being done by all these little muscles of the shoulder. It's being done more by the larger muscles, the muscles you wanna work. So holding here, make sure you're not rotating open. Try to keep shoulders stacked. Almost think of like there's a hot coal or a fire right here and you want to get away from it. So you're pushing away from the floor, you're pushing away from your knees, and you can almost make an arc here. It doesn't have to be complete neutral. This is more of a Pilates thing. I feel like I can activate my lateral muscles a little bit more when I lift away. You've got 10 seconds left. Breathing, breathing, breathing. And we will come down. You can notice I like really check out the time when I do side planks, because side planks are difficult, they're not easy. So we're gonna do the other side, obviously. We don't wanna walk around in circles the rest of the day. So here we go. Stacking the knees, taking the elbow down, and off we go. Arm is up, it's on your hip. It can be on the floor if you need more balance. Sometimes when your hand's on the floor though, your hips tend to roll forward, so make sure if your hand's on the floor that you're still stacking the hips, stacking the shoulders. Again, pushing the floor away, so you stabilize the shoulder. You don't want to sink into it, push it away. Think of that hot fire underneath your side. You want to lift away from it, arm comes up. Feet can be stacked, they can be staggered. I think it's easiest to stack the knees for the first time you do this. Focus on your breath. Keep lifting away from the floor. You've got 15 seconds. 1 minute in side plank is long. We've got 8 seconds. My cat's purring at me. I'm like, I'm so comfy, why are you doing that? And last second, we are down. Awesome, good work. All right, you survived side plank. We're gonna do it again, but that was a variation of side plank. So now we're gonna go back and do a whole nother round of those 3 exercises. You can do those same exercises, or you can up the ante and do something a little bit more physically demanding. Please remember, just because something's more physically demanding, that I say is more physically demanding, doesn't mean it's necessarily going to be better for you to do. If that was already physically demanding, that means nothing about who you are as a person. That means that is perfect for you to do right now, so stick to that. Don't think you have to do more for something to be effective. If you're tired, if you feel it, and you're like, okay, I'm good today because I'm really tired today, then please stick with what we just did. So going back to a plank, right? So we did quadruped last time. We did this. So we're gonna build on this and go into a modified plank. So you're gonna walk your hands forward, your knees back, and as you can see, my head, if I draw a line from my head to my knees, it's one straight line. I have my neutral spine here. I'm not rounded, I'm not dipped, I'm not in like an up dog, I'm in one flat line from head to knee, yeah? So 2 options I'm gonna give you for this one. You can either hold like this, just static for 1 minute, which is a challenge, believe me, or you can tuck your toes under, lift to a full plank, tap the knees down. Lift to a full plank, tap the knees down. So I'm gonna start the clock. You choose, maybe after 30 seconds, I'll let you know when that is. You don't wanna do this modified plank anymore. and you'd rather lift the knees up, you can do that. So trick here, if your wrists and your shoulders are already like, okay, I'm feeling it more in my shoulders right now, push the floor away, spin your elbows so they point towards the wall behind you. Think of your lowest ribs pulling up and in. Think of your tailbone pointing towards the backs of your knees. So it's almost been 30 seconds. I'm gonna tuck my toes under, and here we go. I'm gonna lift up, and I'm gonna tap. Lift up. When I tap, I barely put any weight on my knees. I just touch it, right back up, like it's a hot surface. You just touch and back up, not putting any kind of weight on my knees. Inhale as you come up, exhale to tap, inhale up, exhale tap. We've got 10 seconds. Keep thinking of lowest ribs pulling up and in. And setting the knees down. Let's do a child's pose to kind of release those arms. Because even though, yes, we're working our core, plank still does use those shoulder muscles. So if you're like me, I always feel my arm muscles whenever I do anything. I think it's from holding too many kids. So next thing we're going to do is our lateral exercise. Oh no, sorry, our supine exercise. So we were on our backs doing dead bug before. We're gonna go back to that same position, but make it more difficult, more physically challenging. Again, if there's pain, go back to the one that didn't cause pain, yeah? So we're gonna be here again. If you wanna use your ball, you can. I'm gonna demonstrate it with the ball because I really like doing this with the ball. You're gonna come into, this time, that dead bug position like we activated our core with. And this time we're gonna extend one leg out, pull it in. Extend it out, pull it in. So I'm gonna put the timer on, and we're gonna just keep alternating. Pay attention to your neutral spine, yeah? So if it feels like your back is starting to arch, like I'm showing you as my leg goes down, pull the ribs in. Maybe don't take the leg down so low. If you want a bigger challenge for this, take your opposite arm back from the leg that's extending. Yeah? Keep going. We're only 30 seconds in. Can you believe it? See, I have my clients do this all the time, and I'm like, come on, 1 minute's not that bad. And here I am like, okay. I try to do this for 1 minute as often as I can, but you know, I don't really time myself all the time when I exercise. I just keep going till someone yells that they need me, and then I stop. So we've got 10 seconds left. And 2 seconds, thank goodness. And we'll set our legs down. Set the ball down if you have it. Do some windshield wiper legs. Let that go. And we're gonna go on to our lateral. So, lateral exercise. Last time we did that modified side plank right here, like this. So I'm gonna give you guys like 3 different variations to up the ante. One of them is front legs, top leg's gonna be in front, bottom leg's gonna be straight. Your choice can be on your arm, like this, or you can be on your hand, like this. Okay, so that's one. Another variation is having this bottom leg down, this top leg down, and the, so I need to go over this. This way, my bad. So the top leg is straight and the bottom knee's down. So you can do this. This is another variation, again, on the hand or on the forearm. Okay, so those are 2 variations. I'm gonna do the one with my bottom knee down and my top leg out and my arm up. This is a little bit less physically demanding than the other one, I believe. So here we go, we're gonna hold this. If you wanna have some movement in this, I like sometimes to sweep my arm overhead. That creates a little bit of a more of an arc underneath. Inhale, reach your arms over. Exhale, come back. Inhale over, exhale back. It's also a really nice stretch for the top side. If you don't feel this as much as the other one, which sometimes I don't, sometimes I think this is almost more of a stretch, you can try the other way, right, that I showed you. So keep going with what you're doing. Bottom leg's gonna go out, top leg's in front, you're here. Yeah, so this is a little bit more physically demanding. Inhale, stretch over. Exhale, arm comes up. We've got 15 seconds left. You want to keep thinking of pushing into the floor so that shoulder stays away from the ear. You've got 7 seconds. And we will stop. And guess what? We get to do the other side. Hooray. So here we go. Choices again, I'll kind of go over them. You can do either on the form or on the hand, any of these, yeah? What we did before here, what we just did here. I'm gonna start with the other one with the bottom knee down and the top leg out. Yeah, so here we go. Pick your poison. You can always change your mind in between. You don't have to be stuck on what you select. Inhale, reach over, exhale, come up. Make sure when your arm comes up, there's a tendency sometimes for people to just like slack all the way down. Come to a straight line and then make that arc. So straight line and arc. Straight line and arc. So here we go. We got that down. If you want a little bit more, up the ante. Bottom leg is straight, top knee is bent, knee and ankle stacked. Reach over and down. Breathing with it. Inhale as you reach over, exhale up. If that breath pattern doesn't work for you, you can always exhale over too. I'm a big believer in changing ways, changing things to make it work better for you. So all these are just really suggestions. If you feel like, I feel better when I exhale and I reach over, go for it. As long as you're breathing. We've still got 5 seconds. Hello, core. And let's stop. Okay, perfect. So that was our stability exercises for core. So really our neutral spine. Yeah, we did a little bit more mobility with the lateral stuff. Mainly wanted to show you that because sometimes holding a static side plank can be really taxing on the shoulders. So a little nicer to move. So now we're going to move to some more mobility. So we already warmed up with some mobile stretches. We did that bridge, the spine bridge to warm up our lower back. We're gonna go to a roll up. So I'm sure you've seen this before. If you're familiar with Pilates, traditional roll up, right? You take your arms all the way back, which I can't do because my kids bunk bed, but I'm gonna start here. You're gonna roll up one bone at a time and sit all the way up, come all the way down one bone at a time. So as easy as that appears for most people, it's really difficult to get that articulation of the spine. And what articulation means is one bone at a time goes up, one bone at a time goes down. If you have a spinal fusion, this will not be possible for you to do because your spine is fused together. So if you do have that during this section, you might want to go back to doing, again, the static, more stability exercises. So what we're gonna do for a variation of this to warm up is a roll up with the knees tucked in. We're gonna do this for 1 minute. So you can grab behind the legs or on top of the shins. You're gonna make a ball. You're gonna roll up with control. Try not to use momentum. Balance on the tailbone if you can. Take a breath in. Exhale as you round it down. So you can see I'm not staying in neutral anymore. I'm going through flexion. Flexing to come up. Find that neutral at the top. And rolling it back down. So breath goes, inhale as you come up, and exhale as you go down. Inhale up. I haven't started the timer, but I'm gonna say that was what, 20 seconds? Rolling as you go down. Keep going. Focus on articulation, on control. Lowest rib to the frontal hip point. Think of that connection. Lowest rib to frontal hip point. Sometimes in Pilates classes, they do this really fast. Try to do this slower. It's not really how many repetitions you do with core, it's time under tension. That goes for any muscle group. It's time under tension, not how many reps. So if you do 1,000 crunches, that's great. But you could do the same amount of time and just do like 10 crunches. Time under tension. Let's do one more. All the way up, all the way down. Come down. Let's do a spinal twist to kind of wring this out. So drop both legs off to one side. Stretch that out. Feels so good. I love spinal twists. They feel amazing. Just laying on a flat, firm ground and doing this is like, it's very luxurious for a mom of 3, I guess. So next thing we're gonna do, and we're gonna go back again and do that same kind of pattern, but make it more challenging in the next section. So next thing we're gonna do is go into so that was on our back, we're gonna go onto our front. We're gonna go prone with this. So We're gonna come back into a plank, but we're gonna move this. So we're gonna tuck one knee in at a time, one knee at a time. If you'd rather just hold a static plank again, please do that. Okay, so we're gonna go into more of a spinal flexion when we do this plank. I'm gonna reset my time. I'm gonna demonstrate the exercise. So either on hands, on fists. If you wanna do your forearms, you can. It might be a little dicey because you don't have that much space to pull your knee in. You can always use a ball if you haven't put your arms on a ball. This, of course, makes it a lot more difficult because of the stability factor. I'm gonna demonstrate it on my hands. So here we go. You're gonna pull one knee in, kind of round, tuck the knee in like you wanna touch your nose to your knee. Set it back down, find that neutral. Pull it in, tuck. Set it back down, find that neutral. So if you look at my toes, I'm pushing off. I'm barely on my tippy toes on my back foot. Yeah? As I pull the knee in, I'm gonna round and exhale. I'm gonna set it down. Round and exhale. Set it down. We are only halfway there. Keep going. If you need to stop, take a break, set the knees down, take a break. Yeah? If you wanna go back to opposite arm, opposite leg reach, do that. Remember, just because something is too difficult to do doesn't mean that you are not good, you're not a good person, or you're not working out hard enough. Just means that something works better for you than it does for other people. Yeah? 5 seconds. And set those knees down. I think we need a child's pose. Come into a child's pose, let your arms come forward. Sometimes it's nice to take your arms across to one side, then the other side. All right, and we're gonna do one more mobile thing on our side on lateral. So we are coming up at 9:45. I'm gonna be conscious of people's times. I might go back and do the whole thing one more time, just make it more difficult and be quicker, but we'll see. Let's go to lateral. So going back to that side plank again. This time, so we're gonna either do the same thing, but that you did before on the hand. I'm gonna challenge you to go to your forearm if you weren't there before, or challenge you to go to your hand if you were on your forearm before. We're gonna stagger the feet and we're gonna make this, again, more mobile. So we're gonna inhale, reach up, reach over, set it back down, just a tap, kind of like when we tapped our knees. So going here for 1 minute. Inhale as you lift the hips up, reach over, set it back down. Stagger the feet. Try to be on the edges of the feet. When you put the soles of the feet down, it really cuts off that activation of your lateral side here. So try to have the soles of the feet facing the wall away from you. Inhale up, exhale down. If your shoulder starts to feel as too much, try going to your wrists. Yeah? Your hip won't come down all the way on this one. It'll come like halfway down and then reach it over. We have 30 more seconds. Ah, side planks are hard. Let me see here for me. I don't know about you guys. They really strengthen your shoulders too. So hang in, we've got 10 seconds. If you're like, okay, I'm done with that, I'm gonna go to my forearm. Or if you're just gonna be like, I'm done with that side, just hang out and wait a second. We got 5 seconds left. And thank goodness, we are done with that side. So let's do the other side. Whew. So if you made a choice for one side and you're like, I don't really want to do that on the other side, or maybe you have a shoulder injury on one side, you don't have to do the same thing as you did on the first side, okay? Give yourself that grace. You don't have to do the same exact thing. You're not going to be like unbalanced or whatever because you're still working the same muscle. It just depends on how you're working it, yeah? So let's start staggering the feet, forearm down, lift the hips up. Here you go. Reach it over and back. Reach it over and back. Move this blocks out of the way so you can see my feet. You want the edges of the feet down. The soles of the feet are not touching the mat, yeah? They're facing the bunk bed. Keep going. Again, if you're like, okay, I'm just gonna hold static, hold it here. You can stay even down and just lift up, down and up. You don't have to move the top arm. Yeah, if your shoulder's like, okay, I need to change, take your hand down. Try it with the hand down for a little bit. Reach it over and back, or hold static. There's so many variations of exercises, and honestly, don't get attached to one way of doing things because your body changes every single day, and what hurt yesterday may not hurt tomorrow, vice versa. You have 5 seconds left. So really just listen to your body every time. Make adjustments every day. All right. Whew, we're done with side planks. So it is 9:49. I want to honor everyone's time and honor the next person coming in. So we're just going to do a quick cool down, really fast. Lean on your back, hug the knees in. Maybe make circles around your sacrum, your tailbone. Yeah.
Sorry, I have to go on and.
Maybe do a single leg twist. Other side. And that is it. Thank you so much, you guys, for joining me. I wish I could give you more, but there we go.
That was amazing.